Hey gang, Sean here for VFX Jams. We're going to continue on with our film damage, our awesome, gigantic film damage thing we've been putting together. In this particular episode, we're going to create defocusing. So defocusing can happen in a couple different ways. The one that happens inside the camera, aside from the person who's actually shooting the footage, is the film can be subtly out of alignment with the... try not to get too technical, but where the light enters the lens and prints onto the film. If the film changes position, if it moves a little closer or a little further away from the lens, it can create a subtle defocusing effect. You really don't see that a whole lot anymore, and you don't see it at all in digital media for obvious reasons. But you saw it in some older footage, so let's create that. The one other thing too is defocusing can also occur when the person who's running the camera actually just defocuses the lens a little bit. So let's actually create that effect, shall we? All right. First of all, begin like we always do. Bring a piece of footage into After Effects, whichever footage you'd like to apply this effect to. We are sticking with our Santa Monica Pier because it's awesome. And we're going to apply this effect to an adjustment layer. So let's go into our timeline and right mouse click, New Adjustment Layer, and label it. And we'll call it Defocus. And now I'm going to show you 3 different ways to do this. Each one has its pros and cons, and I'll explain what those are as we go. So first way is you right mouse click, Effect, Blur, and go to Fast Blur. Now this is the simplest way to create this effect, and we are going to create an expression on the blurriness attribute here. We're going to hold down Option key on a Mac. And if you're on a PC, you got to figure that out on your own. But click on that and on the stopwatch, and there we go. We are ready for entering an expression here. So the expression we're going to enter is wiggle, W-I-G-G-L-E, open parentheses, 1,20. So let's see what that looks like. Oh, by the way, too, see these edges? See how it gets darker there? It's because the plugin does not extend past the edge of the picture, and so we're actually it's blending in some of the background here. So what we want to do is turn repeat edge pixels on, and that should remedy that. Yep, there you go. Okay, so let's play this back and see what it looks like. And it should go in and out of focus or become blurrier and sharper and blurrier and sharper, and it should do it somewhat randomly here. Okay, that's probably enough to show off the effect here. Yeah, so that's kind of the idea. Now, here, the pros of using the Fast Blur plugin for this is it's fast blur. So when we are building our final film damage comp, where we're going to throw everything that we've created so far all into one comp and do sort of our perfect look for film damage, it's the render and the playback is going to slow down quite a bit because you're applying so many effects. So if you need to optimize that, or if you have a slower computer, you probably want to go with Fast Blur. So Fast Blur is fast, still looks reasonably good. It's not exactly what a defocused lens looks like, but that's okay. So that's option 1. That is fast and looks reasonable. Option 2, I'll go ahead and delete this so we don't confuse it. So I'm going to delete that. So option 2 then is almost exactly the same. We're going to go into, you can also right mouse click up here in the effects controls panel if you want to. You can do it either way, down on the layer or up here. So up here we'll go for, and we want to go for box blur. Now box blur, we're going to apply the effect exactly the same, box blur option, and create an expression on that, and wiggle, same 1,20. And now, we're going to want to repeat the edge pixels on this one as well. Now, a box blur does a blur in a different way, and as you can see, it has kind of a signature to it. It's kind of, you can see almost what looks like a crosshatch pattern in there. And now, this doesn't look exactly like what a defocused lens looks like, but it's closer. and has a little bit more of that signature. So let's play this back and you can see what this looks like. So it feels like it's breathing a little bit. The lens is breathing a little bit. That might be a little too much, but generally speaking, you can kind of get the idea there. So this is the middle ground option, and this will render a little slower than fast blur, but much faster than the actual lens blur, which we're going to do next. So this is your medium option, let's say. All right, so let's delete that. And option 3, which is where I'll actually use After Effects' camera lens blur, which emulates actual defocusing that a piece of glass in front of a camera creates. So we'll turn repeat edge pixels on just to make sure it goes over our edge like the others. And now blur radius, we're going to apply that same wiggle expression to blur radius. So again, option, click on the stopwatch, wiggle 1,20. And now here's the big difference. You can see the highlights creating a pattern here, and this is in this case it's a hexagonal pattern. This is called bokeh, B-O-K-E-H, which is I think it's Japanese, but I'm not exactly sure what the literal translation means, but it's commonly regarded or commonly used to describe this this blooming feature. And it's this shape because that is the shape of the iris on the camera. Now, in this plugin, you actually can change that. So it's a hexagon now. You can change it to pentagon, which will actually create the shape. There you have 5 sides. And heptagon. So it'll increase the number of sides and so forth. So we'll default at hexagon. But this is more. This is a lot closer to an actual lens blurring out. Now this plugin obviously has a lot more features that you can play with if you like. I'm not going to now, but you can actually create, you can crank up these highlight effects if you want to. So, but generally speaking, that's what that plugin does. And let's play it back so you can see what it looks like. Looks pretty cool. It's the most authentic in terms of something going out of focus. And as you can see, it's actually slower to render too. That's the con of this. That's the downside of this plugin. It looks really nice, but it does take some time to render. And if you have a slower machine, you might want to set that up to render and go grab some dinner or something, because it's going to take a while. So, and I have a pretty fast computer here, and it's still taking its sweet time. So, but as you can see, it's super authentic looking. So pro looks awesome, most authentic. Con, downside is much slower. So that is it. That's how you create a random defocusing effect as part of our film damage series. And as always, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll continue to bring more cool tutorials to you. And thanks for watching.